All right, Scorpio, thanks for tuning in to your September of 2014 horoscope. This is Sidereal Astrology. If you'd like to find your sidereal sign, please check the description down below. All right, Scorpio. So this month, Mars, your ruler, will be transiting your first house. New beginnings, the beginning of the cycle, setting new intentions, starting new projects. It's the beginning of the cycle. It's coming into life. That's what's signified by the first house. Coming out of the 12th house, which is essentially like coming out of the womb. So hopefully a lot of you guys have done a lot of relaxation or just connected to yourself spiritually last month in August. And now you're rested up. You're now coming into a new phase, okay? A new phase in life in general. And a lot of motivation, a lot of positive energy, of course, because it is Mars. And all available to you in regards to new intentions that you set. So this month, I think a lot of you are going to be starting new projects. I think a lot of you are going to be setting new intentions. And so the best thing here is just be as conscious as you possibly can about your intentions, because first house is very powerful for manifestation. Whatever intentions you set, whatever you put your energy into, you're essentially communicating that that's what you want. So be mindful of where you're putting your energy. And if you are mastering this, if you're controlling this aspect, your masculine energy, if you're owning it, then you can direct that into the direction that you want. And really show the universe, tell the universe that this is what you want, this is where you're putting your energy. Okay, very consciously. So that's wonderful. Your ruler going over your first house. And it's going to touch each of your ascendants or your suns, depending on what you're watching this for, or your moon, at different times. So, as the month progresses and into October, there will be some significant times at different varying times for you guys. So if you do know your degree of those, then you can keep that in mind. You mid degrees and early to late degrees will feel it this month, and for the rest of you, later degrees will be in October. All right. But in either case, it's in your first house in Scorpio. So in either case, you'll all be feeling this. All right, now let's talk about the new moon this month. It's happening in your fourth house. This is on the 8th, it's very early in the month. So around this time, a full moon, so illuminating, and it's in your fourth house. Okay, so a lot of you have been, going with the flow in regards to the home. In some form or another, you've had Neptune transiting your fourth house, and this has been very healing. I think a lot of you have learned that when you kind of ease up off the gas pedal and you just allow the universe to guide you, then the home area is quite healing for you. And what I mean by home doesn't necessarily mean your physical location. It just means your temple, wherever you are. Fourth house is your foundation. Okay, it's your soul. And so an illumination here in regards to some manifestation, some abundance, some harvesting in regards to the home in some form or another. But overall, just feeling good. So I think a lot of you are going to be connecting to family this month, connecting to your past earlier in the month. Okay? But in either case, just feeling really good about who you are on a soul level and feeling comfortable in your skin and being grounded as a soul in your body where you're at, in your temple. Okay, in your body, which is your temple. And again, it could mean your physical home, but not necessarily. And this will be very healing and feel quite good, because Chiron is also there in that fourth house of yours. And this is, of course, very spiritual for you, because your fourth house ruler is in the 12th. Saturn is in your 12th house. So you guys, a lot of you have been putting in a lot of discipline into your spirituality, which is great, because that's what spirituality requires. Spirituality requires discipline, and mastery, and taking control and ownership of your spiritual abilities, your spiritual powers. And things like meditation and stuff. It takes work. So a lot of you have been putting in that effort there, and this is also where things pay off. It's the full moon, and it's paying off in regards to your spirituality. I think a lot of you are going to be feeling very spiritually enlivened, and perhaps a lot of you like really developing your intuition your soul's intuition. It's about your feelings. It's really about listening to your feelings and allowing your feelings to guide you through the waters of the universe, which are constantly changing, constantly flowing. For some of you, it could mean new home, new location. You know, this can always manifest externally. New physical home, new location, developing relationships with your family members, etc. So that's the sort of emphasis, particularly around the full moon on the 8th. Now let's talk about Pluto. Pluto, you know, your co-ruler, you might call him your co-ruler, but in either case, playing an important role for everybody, is going station direct this month on the 22nd. And this is happening in your 2nd house. So a lot of you, over many years, have been changing your values, your value systems. Changing, you know, what's important to you, and letting go. 2nd house is also about abundance. So it's about, I think you guys have been learning, and the learning has really been taking place since April in one form or another, because this is just my words, but you've been learning in some sense how abundance, how you can attract more abundance to your life when you let go. When you just release those attachments. Now, of course, you put in the work, right? But in an unattached way, in a non-attached way. And Pluto is essentially, you know, he's the god of the underworld, and his job is to strip away everything that we can't take with us to the afterlife. So we're constantly changing, we're constantly going into the afterlife, so to speak, because we're constantly preparing, we're constantly changing. Old parts of us, old us's you might say, are dying off, and new us's are coming into fruition. And this is all about your values. Your old values are dying off, your new values are coming in. If you allow a lot of the old attachments to old values and stuff that aren't serving you, if you allow all that stuff to go, then that's when new values can come to you. And values are extremely important in our lives. If we don't know what we want, like if we don't have any conscious awareness of what we value, then we have very little power, you know, in our lives. And this power you've been reflecting on. And on the 22nd, you'll be going direct. So a lot of you, if not all of you, will have, generally speaking, an insight in regards to what you've learned since around April in terms of your resources, your values, your skills, in some sense, your inner abilities, I should say. Okay? Anything that you value in life. And material value and resources as well, obviously, because we all value material resources to live. So just continue to reflect this month. I think you're automatically going to do that. Things are going to slow down and then start to move forward. And around the 22nd, there will be, I think, a push of wanting to then start saying, you know what, whatever's, you know, this is what I want, setting your intention, but letting it go and letting the universe take its work, let the universe work out the details, right? Because we're all co-creators with the universe. So that's very important for everyone. And for you, this is strongly emphasized with your 9th house, because your 2nd house ruler, Jupiter, has been in your 9th house for the bulk of this year. Well, for most of this year so far. So it's about your path, right? It's almost like you're finding values along your path, because your path is currently expanding with Jupiter in that 9th. Lots of opportunities, lots of divine messages. Jupiter rules that 9th house, and Jupiter in the 9th house is about receiving divine messages and transmissions and connecting to our higher self and higher beings and such. So lots of opportunities, lots of expansion there, expanding your mind, expanding your horizons. And through that, you're finding your values. Interestingly. It's a lot like a voyage, a lot like a journey. When you go on a journey, you find things. And it's not a physical journey necessarily. For some of you might be traveling and stuff. But for everyone, it's just a spiritual journey. Because every moment of life is a spiritual journey, whether we're physically traveling or not. And through that, the more you expand your horizons, the more you are changing your values, which is great. Okay, and that'll certainly be emphasized this month. It's certainly emphasized at the end of the month when we have a grand trine involving Uranus and Jupiter and Mars, which I'll talk about in a minute. But let's talk about the new moon this month. The new moon, happening on the 24th, is in your 11th house. Okay? So your 11th house, and it's ruled by Mercury, who's in your 12th. So what is 11th house? 11th house is your selfless service to the community. 11th house is the community. It's about unity. Unity with our brothers and sisters. Unity with everyone on earth. And in the whole, every conscious being in the universe. But those that we're associated with. So on earth. And it's even your neighborhood community. Or your groups that you're associated with. Online communities. So something new there. Okay? Perhaps some of you might actually join a new community in some sense, some new group, but I think it's all spiritual because Mercury is going to be in that 12th house of yours with Saturn too also. So the group thing, I wouldn't be surprised if it's very spiritual in nature, but if not, it will certainly awaken you spiritually. Whatever this new is, and it may not be groups, it may be ideals. Because the 11th house is not only us physically within groups. It's not even what it's really about. It's about our view of the collective, our view of the world. So it rules ideals. A lot of you are going to have new ideals or new ideas. 11th house, ruled by Aquarius. Ideas for the greater whole, for the greater collective. And how you fit into that spiritually. Right? So that's the new moon. New beginnings in that area, and you'll be feeling this the second half of the month. Now let's talk about that grand trine actually involving the Uranus, Jupiter, and Mars. Now it's happening in your fire houses. Mars in your 1st, Uranus in your 5th, and Jupiter in your 9th. Mars energy you're going to feel later in the early parts of October, but certainly around the 24th you'll be feeling the Jupiter, Uranus from your 9th and your 5th. This is about freedom. It's about opening up. Jupiter contacting Uranus. Jupiter expands. Uranus is about freedom and being your true, authentic self. And that's what you've been doing. Uranus has been transiting your 5th house. 5th house is about who you are, your self-expression. You've been changing how you express yourself. You've been expressing yourself that's more in alignment with who you really are, your higher self. There's been a lot of changes with that too. A lot of creative changes. A lot of you starting and beginning a lot of creative projects, which is all about your true self coming out and wanting to create. And what it's creating is eventually, if not already, service to humanity. So whatever those creative pursuits are, or whatever it is that you're expressing or embodying your true self with, there will be a highlight at the end of this month around the 24th when Uranus contacts Jupiter. And it'll expand that. And it'll be very liberating. And it's very liberating in that area I mentioned, as well as your life path, and your direction, and your purpose, your overall purpose in life. And for a lot of you, a lot of opportunities there as well. Then in October, when Mars contacts from your 1st, it'll be about that new you that I was talking about, that new you that's coming out, that's ready to be of service, that's ready to expand its horizons and be free. Because ultimately that's our birthright, is to be free. And you guys will be feeling this, we'll all be feeling this around the 24th and into October. Let's talk about Venus. Let's not leave Venus out. Venus, the feminine principle, is transiting your 10th house for the bulk of this month up until the 24th. Okay, so for those of you who are involved in a not corporate but vocation and a career sort of sense where you go to work and you're amongst people, it's a great time to connect with people through your work and to get out, meet co-workers, but in general just enjoying it. Okay, and bringing more beauty and more abundance to the career area. And when I say career, I mean your vocation, what you're doing being of service. So I think a lot of you are going to be meeting a lot of people in regards to your service and also just overall enjoying it and connecting to it. And again, finding your values through it as well. And this is particularly emphasized up until the 16th while the sun is in the 10th. And then once the sun goes into the 11th, around the 16th, and Venus follows on the 24th, things will then take on a more community-oriented feel. So whatever it is that's new coming to you around this new moon on the 24th, it's starting something new that you're going to be involved with next month in October, or incorporating into your life in October, which I'll talk about. All right, Scorpio, so thanks for watching. If you have any specific questions, please get in touch. This is just a very general look at the planets in the sky. If you'd like a specific reading where these planets are touching and impacting your personal planets, please get in touch for a reading. All right, Scorpio, have a good month, and thanks for watching.